Have you seen it? I've seen it. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're going to do when you see it. And let's just start with that big statement, because in a recent iteration of Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter, he called WALTER versus Ilja Dragunov on NXT UK probably one of the most brutal WWE matches he has ever seen. And I'm just gonna let you know right now, I agree with him. If you haven't seen it and you think you have the stomach to watch one man just wreck another human being, you owe it to yourself to go and check this out, especially if you're one of these people that's all like, wrestling's so silly, wrestling's not serious anymore. Oh yeah? Well, wrestling just got pretty damn serious. So yeah, you know what? It probably was one of the most brutal matches in WWE history. Why? Here's why. Still feel all oogly boogly. Now, I will be the first to say that when I first watched this was my face the whole time. And that's not because they were using a bunch of weapons or doing a bunch of crazy moves or flying through the sky like butterflies. In fact, it was the opposite of that. Take what happened early on. Walter kicks Dragunov in the back of the head. You're like, well, Simon, I've heard and seen that plenty of times in pro wrestling. Well, you haven't heard or seen it like this, because he just takes his foot and goes, and he hits him so damn hard, you look around like, wait a minute, have we changed the rules of pro wrestling? Is it no longer a work? And this has been done since the dawn of time. I understand that The Rock used to do that one where he wiggled his leg. Remember that? It was called like a dirty kick. My word, it's like night and day. But it's done with so much force and so much intensity, you wince. And that's the same for every kick, it's the same for every punch, it's the same for every chop, it is the same for every single little thing that they do. If you want to try and tell someone this is a real fight that just happened to be caught on a pro wrestling show, I bet my right butt cheek you'd be able to convince them. I mean, Walter grabs Dragunov's head at one point and basically gives it a little bit of a stretch, but he pushes it so hard and his skull is at such a weird angle, it just makes your shoulders go up like this because you're terrified that you're about to see some bone break on national television. I mean, you start to believe it. You start to believe every single thing that you are witnessing, to the point, once again, much like Eddie Kingston, if you watch AEW Ups and Downs, you know what I'm talking about. You have to wonder whether Walter actually knows what is going on. I can't believe they decided to do it, and I can't believe that somebody signed off on it. Meltzer also compared it to the hard-hitting wars of Minoru Suzuki in New Japan back in the day, and yeah, that's clearly where this inspiration has come from. He went on to talk about the selling of Dragunov, and yeah, this is like no other selling that you're used to, or at least not the stereotypical stuff. And you know what I'm talking about, like you've got different faces. One of the faces is he kicked out of my move, and you have to go, because you're really, really shocked. There's another one like, oh, I can't believe my friend turned on me. These are all very the same. And there's another one where it's like, what do I have to do to beat this guy? You know, but it's not like that at all. It's as if he is in genuine fear of his life, and that if he doesn't start fighting back, he's probably gonna die. And his body collapses in a heap on multiple occasions where it just looks like it has stopped working. And then there's his skin. Oh my gosh, his skin. When you get to the end, it is just beet red. It is so red that a beetroot would look at it and it would go, well, I'd love to be that shade, but I'll never be able to get that color. It is unreal. And it's the same for Walter, but do not even try and pretend it's on the same level. And by the time the champion has taken his challenger and thrown him throat first into the middle rope, where Dragunov also suffers whiplash, well, I was almost done. I almost turned it off. Do you remember when Enzo Amore did this by accident? That was bad enough. But here, you got guys doing it on purpose, and you still get the same effect. If there's no good way to protect yourself, go and headbutt a wall. Do not do that, but you take my point. Even if you hold back a little bit, it's still head and skull on concrete, and it's still going to hurt. Then there's a powerbomb on the apron, a choke slam on the floor, and Walter just climbing up to the top rope and splashing this poor, poor man. And have you ever seen Walter? No, look, boom, there he is. There's Walter. Do you want that guy splashing you? No, you don't. And he's a great wrestler, so of course he can do it safely, but I'm talking about being a fan and watching this. You're like, please stop this, stop the carnage. Why is nobody thinking of the children? This should have an 18 rated slapped on it. And then there is the finish, and what the flub is going on? Like, the chokehold at the moment is kind of the flavor of the day in wrestling, but I can't remember the last time I saw one like this, because Walter does wrap his arms around Dragunov's neck as blood pours from Dragunov's mouth like his kidney is just throwing up, and in it, he passes out. But it doesn't look like he passes out. Once again, it looks like all the oxygen has been sucked out of his lungs, and he passes away. Next week on NXT UK, they'll probably do his funeral. The word gruesome doesn't do it justice, and I honestly, in a very rare occasion, forgot that there were no fans in the arena, because it is just so believable and it is so intense that it just grabs you and it locks you in for the 20 or so minutes it was on. And of course it's going to come down to what your definition of brutal is, but it absolutely has to be in the conversation. And in many ways, it's like when fans walk around going, well, I want my entertainment content to be a little bit more mature. Some think that means scantily clad models and a lot of swearing, but I would claim it's the opposite. Sure, that has an adult theme, but I wouldn't call it mature. So while swinging a chair into somebody's skull is always going to get a desired reaction, I would argue that what Walter and Dragunov did here is far better or far worse, depending which side of the fence you want to be on, because it feels like a real fight. But unlike a real fight that would be broken up in the street, here you have two guys who have agreed to beat the hell out of each other, but they're just holding back a little bit. Oh, oodalally. It actually means they could get away with more, and I dread to think what Dragunov felt like when he woke up the next day. He must have assumed he got hit by a bus, but instead he got hit by a massive Austrian dude. You want more? Go and watch one of the lariats that Walter throws at his unsuspecting victim. You can take the clothesline from hell and you can stick it up your ass. I would rather suffer 45,287 of those before even taking one of these. In many ways, I can't believe it was on a WWE show. The best, if that's the right word, is that this will divide people right down the middle, but I think that's exactly what pro wrestling needs right now. As I already mentioned, so many people are just running around at the moment going, wrestling's not serious and wrestling's too silly. Well, now you do have the opposite, although I will say, if you enjoyed Cameron Grimes basically dancing with zombies on a recent episode of NXT, like if that's your pro wrestling, your sports entertainment, don't watch this. And remember, there's no good or bad, there's no right or wrong, as long as everybody in the angle agrees, you should just be able to do whatever the hell you want. As long as nothing too crazy happens, and this may have been a little bit on the cusp. In case you care to, Dave Meltzer gave this the coveted 5-star rating, or at least it used to be coveted. Now you have to get like 62,000 stars before people go, oh, but still, it meant something to him, and it's gonna mean something to a lot of damn people. It also goes to show the level it did reach, and I knew this before I watched it, and I was still absolutely stunned. I mean, it's a murder in a wrestling ring, and wait till you see Dragunov at the end of it. His just whole physique is like he's got nothing else in him. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he actually got taken to a local medical facility. I'm just gonna shake my head until someone comes home and stops me shaking my head. Could be a while. No one else lives here. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about this crazy, crazy match. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where you can read stuff like this. Follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE, and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. Yes, you can call me a pansy, I suppose. Not saying I didn't enjoy it. I'm just saying, my word, was it aggressive? I'll see you soon.